Hi guys, this is Frenchie and today we're gonna talk about skin tones. It has been a subject really requested by all of you and I understand because skin tones are very important, right? Our eyes get instinctively attracted by other humans. So in a scene, the first thing that the viewer is gonna see is the characters and after the surroundings. Skin tones are very important but highly subjective. They can be different between the markets and culture you are working in. For example, in Europe, we are used to warm skin tone in color grading for our characters. But in the market I'm working in Asia, we prefer coldish, magenta-ish skin tones. So skin tones are perceived very differently between each humans. Not to mention the different carnation, the change of lighting, and also the client request. So how do we get this right if there's no right formula? So I will show you how the majority of tutorials on YouTube are grading skin tones and why I wouldn't recommend this technique. After, I will show you all my tips that I use to have great skin tones. Okay, so guys, we're gonna see how majority of YouTube tutorials are teaching you how to grade skin tones, and I'm gonna show you why I wouldn't recommend this technique. So I pulled out an old project for you to see how it would extend to a project. First of all, my project settings are in Rec 709 and Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. Then I'm gonna color manage the footage with color space transform. This is FX3, so it's S-Log, so S-Gamut 3 Cine and S-Log 3. And we are in Rec 709, so it's Rec 709 and Gamma 2.4. 2.4 luminance mapping and saturation compression for my eyes. We have this color management. So what we're gonna do is just do quick primaries to put the image where we want it to be. So I'm just playing with the offset, you know, the classic offset and everything, and just to rebalance a bit the lighting. So this is my primaries, right? And now we're gonna do the skin tones. So it goes to secondaries as it's a precise adjustment. It's a micro adjustment. I'm gonna take my qualifier. Most of YouTube videos, I see them going to qualifier and take the qualifier, pick the skin tone, you know, and be like, okay, now I have this skin tone, so I'm gonna try to fine tune it. So I just move my hue, my saturation, and my luminance. And I'm taking as good as possible my skin tone. I denoise a bit, and that's it. Okay, so now I have my skin tone selected. What I'm seeing, if I go to my vector scope, what I'm seeing is oh, it's a bit reddish, right? So I'm just gonna go to my tint and pull out some magenta, put some greens, and say okay, I'm somewhere natural, and you can see on the graph it's somewhere natural like that. Good. So we have our grade. It's very fast because we only concentrate on the skin tone. So for example, if I extend to other scenes like that, that would be fine. Here you have the kid just bending, but if you see, we have the selection of the skin, but what's happening in the background is a noise created, you know, by the copy and paste. I can see it on my grading monitor. Here it's a bit hard to see it because also with YouTube, you know, the video is compressed, but it's not making your image clean. You can have some bits, you know, happening without your control really. So there's this that can happen, so it can create some noise. Also if I want to extend the skin tone to another scene, of course you can readjust, but imagine you have a whole project to grade, then you waste a lot of time because then you always have to go okay, so now have to readjust, so you spend time to readjust the skin. It doesn't go very smooth. So for example, I go to another scene with another lighting. Okay, let's say this one. I copy and paste what I've done. And so if you see in this node, so I'm just like enabling and disabling the luminance. If you see in this node, nothing has been taken because it's not at all the same lighting. Nothing has been taken, there's no effect. So that means that if I need my skin tone, then I will have like to go back and key and be like, okay, so then like I need to do this, do that. You know, it's you waste a lot of time actually. Let's say like, okay, you tell me like, okay, Chloe, it's because it's another scene, so it doesn't count. But if I go to a scene that has like kind of the same lighting like this, and I copy and paste what we've done to the boy, actually, if you see here, so this is the skin node, nothing has been taken in the grade. So I will have to do the same by like keying and after fine-tuning whatever I can to have the skin tone inside my selection. That's why I wouldn't recommend this technique, because it's easy to make mistakes by like extending your grade and not noticing sometimes like this keying creating some noise and creating some spotting sometimes in the skin. There's this reason. The second reason is actually it takes a lot of time to rekey all the frames. When you have to go very fast, it's not the ultimate technique, you know, to nail your skin tones and having it clean like throughout the film while like still going fast. So now we're gonna switch to my first tip. First, train your eyes. So yes, I won't repeat this enough, but your eyes are the main tool for grading. So to get the right skin, it is very important for you to be aware of the real life. What would be the color of the skin indoor? What would be the color of the skin outdoor? What would be the color of the skin during midday? What would be the color of the skin during golden hour? So you can be attentive to all these details in your everyday life. Observe how the lighting is affecting the color of your skin. So for example, in this lighting setup, my skin looks natural. If I put this footage inside DaVinci Resolve, then like it would make me a very normal skin tone color. But if I put a color light towards me, my skin is taking the color of this color light. Take this in consideration in your skin color, because the lighting has a big effect into the skin color. So for example, if I try to match the same skin color for this one with like the previous lighting setup, it won't be possible because I have such a strong orange light on my face. That's why it's really important for you to train your eyes, so then you can understand all the subtleties of the light on your skin. So my advice to train your eyes would be watch movies and stay active in your analysis of frames. Also, like, you can go outside, go inside and see how the lighting is affecting your skin. You can experiment. I just find this very important because it makes your mind better at replicating the realness of the skin digitally. So after we saw together how it is important to train your eyes, I'm going to show you how to set your scopes to have a good indicator for skin tone. So you're just going to go to your scope, you're going to pull it out. So if you want like 4, you just like click this. If you want 2, you just click this. If you want 1, just click this. So here, I want you to go to vector scope. So it's gonna represent this circular diagram, and you're gonna put show skin tone indicator. This skin tone indicator is actually very useful, you know, like when we are working on skin, because it shows you the color of the footage, right? And where the skin tone is supposed to be. Here, I can identify that like my skin tone here is over here actually. So this is this very orange color that happened in my scope. So I can notice that this skin tone is going more towards the red side than towards the yellow side. And to have a good skin tone, we should be in the middle here on the line that you have. This is my first tip for you to have better confidence when you grade some skin tone. Always refer to this line. So now, third tip. Primaries are the most important. So primaries is the best thing in the world because if you nail your primaries, then like you won't need like so many nodes to build your grade. What I always do in my grade is actually trying to nail the skin tones first in primaries, so then like when I'm gonna extend the timeline, I'm not gonna have any issues with the skin tone. I'm just gonna create a node. And as I showed you in the previous video, we're gonna do a node tree that is fed by the source. It's a parallel node. At the top, it's all the primaries, and at the bottom, it's all the secondaries, okay? So I create my parallel node, and everything that's gonna be here are my primaries. To just see my primaries, I'm just gonna pull out the waveform, and we're gonna just brighten up the image a bit. And you see, by brightening up the image, I kind of already see the problems in the skin. It's very red, right? So I'm going to create another node to affect my color balance. I'm just going to go to my temp and my tint. I'm going to affect these two components to have a skin tone that is going to the right realm. I take my tint and I put some green. Okay, and I take my temp and maybe I'm gonna just play with it, but I'm just like putting more cold in the image, and I'm just like readjusting my tint to go at -5, something like this. So we already have a big difference. So this is before, this is after. Already we went quite far, you know, in terms of skin, because we pull all this red out of the skin already. So we have a very good starting point. Yeah, maybe some green. That's it. That's nice. This node is for temp and tint. A bit more cold, yeah, a bit more cold actually. So we just verify again before and after. It looks way more natural. If I pull out the vector scope, we are already actually on the line, if you see, for the skin tone. So now that we've seen the primaries together, we're gonna see how I do my secondaries. So you can replicate what I'm doing. On this image, it's not gonna be very obvious because we are already in the right realm for the skin tone, but this is here to support, you know, the primaries. I'm gonna use my curves to affect the skin tone. Why I prefer curves than, for example, qualifier? It's because instead of having a very delimited selection, I will affect a whole curve of color. So everything that I move within this curve of color will be affected, which makes a more uniform effect when I move the color of the skin. For example, if I want to affect his skin, I will go to my hue versus hue, so it's here. I'm going to select yellow and red, because most of the time skin tones are within the yellow spectrum and the red spectrum. So I will just play around, and I see that I don't really need to affect the yellow. So I'm gonna affect the red and just go and pull out some red. So I'm only affecting this node. So if you see, by taking out some red, just from the red spectrum, this is before and this is after. So it's cleaning a lot of things happening, you know, in the frame before and after. So now we have a way more delimited character in the frame and a way more distinct skin tone. That's good, but for me it feels a bit yellow. So I'm just gonna take the yellow channel and just pull this up. So then it balances it out. but like really tiny bit. So if you see, this is before, this is after. I'm just gonna split the effects actually of this. So I'm just gonna put back the yellow, and I'm gonna show you what it does when I just like shift a bit the yellow to a reddish. So this is just like when we affected the red curve and when we took out more red inside the frame, and now it's like when you reintroduce a bit of red from the yellow spectrum. I think that's a nice feeling because then like it doesn't feel as yellow as like what we created. I'm gonna go with this. So I just splitted the nodes to show you the difference. So curves are really a great tool for skin tone because right now we were using U versus U, but you can use to affect your skin tone differently other curves like U versus sat. So for example, if I put myself in the channel of red and I pulled out the saturation, then my skin's gonna be less saturated, if you see. And if I pull up, it's gonna be more saturated. You can do this also like with the yellows, and you can use also the U versus Lum. If I push down my red, then like my red's gonna be darker and deeper. If I pull up, then it's gonna be brighter. So it really depends on what kind of style you want your skin tone. So you can really try by yourself. And if you are comfortable with it, you can also use the color wrapper. You can use between the yellows spectrum and the red spectrum. These are typically where the skin tones are sitting. You can take your point and pull it. So if you pull it, it's going to be more saturated. If you put it next to the center, it's going to be less saturated. And you can shift the color saying like, oh, I want it more towards red, or I want it more towards yellow. Have fun with it, and I think it's a nice and safe way for making skin tones. So I think like we are pretty fine with this skin tone, and now we're going to test it if it goes very well with the other frame we tested before for the YouTube tutorial demonstration. So I'm just going to take this take and just like pull this, and if I put this next to each other, we are quite in the same realm. This one just like needs some readjustment in terms of balance, but like we are already in the same realm, and I just need to balance like that. So that's perfect. If I copy and paste what I've done, it's still respecting actually the lighting that's happening. If you see, we are not too far from each other, and I will just need like to maybe tweak a bit the temperature. So if I tweak a bit the temperature, like make a bit colder and a bit more magenta, then like we are in the same realm. It matches pretty fast. So we're gonna go to the DAD, and we're gonna just copy and paste this, and look what's happening. We are like completely in the same realm as the skin, which is great, you know, because then the skin is affected. So if you see, if I disable this, right, and I enable this too, the skin is corrected. So this is before, this is after. I almost don't have to do anything. Like the skin is still in the good realm because everything is here. I don't have to key again. I don't have like to verify if there's no noise created by the qualifier. So I really hope it helped you guys. I think this is actually pretty obvious that is a bit cleaner and faster. I hope you're gonna take this technique, because then like you will avoid less mistakes. Thank you for following my videos. Subscribe if you haven't in the channel, and yeah, I see you next week. See you.